that glowy white. I am 5'1". I am inches away from. Oh, I need to mute myself. Oops. But yeah, I'm 5'1". I can't reach anything, and I glow. So when I'm in the grocery store looking pitiful, I get a lot of "Ooh, can I get that for you?" It's great.
Oh man, that's gotta be rough.
I mean, it's nice, but
why
like
does Google Drive not have a night mode? Like, why?
Rylock wants to let you know you still didn't mute yourself. But what's that red book in the background that you're pointing out? Because I can't read it from here.
Oh, fair enough. That is the Pathfinder 2nd Edition core rulebook.
Ah, okay.
That is actually the collector's edition version of it, which I'm super proud of.
it is really pretty. Is that leather?
It's faux leather. Here, I'll bring it in closer so you guys can actually see it.
I still like that though.
That's really
Isn't it
pretty.
good? Doesn't it look really nice?
That is pro.
Gold foil.
That is really pro.
So
it's the only one of the books that I have in collector's edition, and it was worth every freaking penny that I spent on it.
I just want to point out how thick that book is compared to the 5e Player's Handbook.
That's the point, though. Again, like I said, when you have to have rules for everything, then it's going to be thicker. And I'm okay with that because that's what I prefer. I know some people are not into that thing.
No, I think it's helpful, like we just talked about.
I don't know.
Because then you... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I played third edition, so...
Oh boy.
You should see 3.5, too. Oh, my God.
Like I said, I played Pathfinder 1, which is basically 3.75, so...
Yep.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm sorry.
I like Pathfinder 1, it's just not as good on the GM. We ready to get started?
Oh, we've been going for probably 5 minutes now, 3 minutes now. Ever since Liette was going on about how she is basically glowing like a dead thing.
So what you're saying is this was the worst cold start in the history of ever.
No. I think I'm learning. So here is my goal for interviews and streaming and stuff like that. My goal is to get Liette set up with something that will get her on a tirade and make a fool out of herself, and then hit the go live button.
Damn it, Lego!
I'm getting better at it, if you can tell.
Yeah, I think the best really was the crack spoon. It really was.
Yep.
It's not a real crack spoon. For the record, it's not. Just, yeah.
All right. So
I should bring up Twitch chat so that I can, follow along.
Not a problem. Well, everyone, welcome to another virtual get-together interview with another member of Grievance. Tonight, we've got Mascurse. Hi, Mascurse.
Hey, how's it going? Oh, God, that was loud.
It's okay.
We're
only wearing headphones. It's okay.
Yeah. We don't need our eardrums.
Yeah, I have to modulate my voice regularly because this microphone actually picks up everything.
Well, there's Mascurse. We've got Liette with us, and I'm going to hand it over to Liette because she's got a laundry list of questions, and that book, that little tiny red book behind him, just added more to it. So I will get started. Oh, and before I forget, we do have a game key giveaway for this interview. We are giving away the Crash Bandicoot game key. It is the trilogy. So the Crash Bandicoot trilogy
again.
Giveaway.
Just look for his mouth to stop moving, and then we can talk.
Sorry. It's the Crash Bandit trilogy giveaway. I'll just get this started.
That's a really good one, guys. Be sure to get in on that one. That's a good raffle.
That is a cool one. All right, I need to talk to a 5-year-old for a second. So, Mascurse, please tell us about when you joined Grievance, what got you into it, and what you like to play.
All right. Well, that's a whole lot of things at once. Hey, I'm Mascurse. I have been a member of Grievance since 2014, I want to say. I can't even remember anymore. It's been too many years at this point. But anyway, I joined Grievance as a member of the Neverwinter Online community. I had just picked up the game, looking for a group of people to play with, and found Grievance. It was a really nice match, even though Neverwinter Online and me were not a particularly good match. but at the time I was considering switching over to Final Fantasy XIV for a game anyway, and well, the people in Final Fantasy XIV were extremely welcoming, a great group of people that I still enjoy hanging out with, a good chunk of them. It has been it's been a ride, but here I am, still playing Final Fantasy XIV, still a part of Grievance, and streaming. Who would have thought?
And are you mostly streaming Final Fantasy?
Right now, I am mostly streaming Final Fantasy XIV, though on Saturdays I do stream Final Fantasy XI as well, which is we just have a leveling group that we play on a Final Fantasy XI private server.
It's okay, we won't tell.
Okay, thank you. Lately, I've also been streaming some random games here and there, but yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So you might have covered this. I'm sorry because I was yelling at a 5-year-old. What got you into streaming things that you game?
I hadn't got there yet.
Sweet.
Honestly, the streaming bit kind of came around somewhat naturally. I just enjoy hearing my own voice. I enjoy commentary. I enjoy talking. I enjoy letting people know what I'm thinking as I'm playing a game, like kind of a stream of consciousness. And that didn't really work out great for streaming, but it kind of got me started in that area. And I just found I enjoyed being in front of a camera while I game for some reason. I can't tell you why. But it turns out to be a lot of fun. You get to interact with a new group of people that are in your chat. You get to talk with them about what's going on.
And tell us about your channel. Like, how do we find you specifically on Twitch? I know we host you.
Yes, you can find me at
www.twitch.tv/Mascurse.
Who would have thought? It's almost like I picked this name a long time ago. I don't know, but I enjoy streaming various games. You'll find me definitely on Tuesdays and Wednesday evenings as I stream our Final Fantasy XIV raid. I also usually am streaming Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern, for our Final Fantasy XI leveling static.
Very cool. So, all right, I know you're in Final Fantasy XI. Between it and Final Fantasy XIV, whew, that's a lot of alliteration. Aren't I funny? What's your favorite thing to take on in there? I know when I tried out Final Fantasy XIV, I sucked. I was really bad, and it's hard.
It is a very fun game, and there's a whole lot going on in Final Fantasy XIV that just about anybody can take advantage of and do. Myself, some of the things that I like to do the most in the game are raiding, of course. I really enjoy the Savage Raid content, which is the kind of classic endgame static raid difficulty. There's that, and then when it comes to solo content, I enjoy the Palace of the Dead type content, or I should say Deep Dungeons is the official terminology, because there's both Palace of the Dead and Heaven on High, both of which are 4-man dungeons that are more randomly generated with the intention that you go up a series of floors, getting progressively more difficult. And if you die, if your entire party dies, you have to go back to the last checkpoint, which is each 10 floors. So, yeah, it's and if you're going for the top tier stuff, you can't die at all.
Oh, great!
And then me being me, of course, rather than going in as intended with a 4-man party, I like to go in solo.
How's that been going for you?
Not great. Not lately. I haven't really done much of that lately because, well, I got really burnt out on it. But eventually I will be going back to that. There's also solo speedrunning some of the old dungeons. I enjoy just trying to complete those as fast as humanly possible. For a while, I actually held the world record for a couple of the earlier dungeons. Not since the latest expansion, because there's new tech that I just haven't learned yet. But I'll probably go back to that at some point soon too.
Cool. Good luck. There are dungeons kind of like that in Elder Scrolls. I'm not good. I shouldn't do that. One's called an arena for a reason. I'm so bad. So in Final Fantasy, what do you like to stream in particular? I know you've been doing some cool runs and thinking about doing certain things with photography. What are your thoughts
Yes,
there?
I have lately been kind of getting into the screenshots scene in Final Fantasy XIV. The game is gorgeous, and with a little bit of extra post processing with reshade and things like that, you can make some really beautiful photos in the game. And I've been getting into that lately, and I figured I might start streaming some of that as well. Some of the more chill streams, finding cool stuff, taking good pictures, and showing people kind of the what it looks like from behind the photographer's lens, as it were.
What do you use to edit it once you've gotten your screenshots taken?
Usually I don't. Most of the time I'm doing my editing before I actually take the shot with
Wow.
reshade and the G pose features within the game. One of the beautiful things about Final Fantasy XIV is the G pose function, which is basically a photographer's dream. You get to do all sorts of things, taking things in and out of the shots, creating lighting. You can do all sorts of things. It's really quite quite beautiful when you really get into it. You can see some great stuff.
It's a gorgeous game. That's one thing I really remember. What's your favorite setting in there to start adjusting? So you're gonna take a screenshot. You're in your spot. What do you adjust first?
Generally speaking, I when I'm in my spot and I found my setting, assuming I don't need to take anything out of the shot, the first thing I'm going to be doing is going into reshade and putting on one of my presets. But if it's a nighttime picture, I like to bring up the blues. I like to create more of a what's the word I'm looking for? Reflective atmosphere, something that makes you think about your shot. And then after that, it's all about the framing next, adjusting your camera position, getting the perspective right. Those type of settings are generally where you're gonna find that I spend most of my time.
I would really like to see these streams, so I'm gonna be watching for those. It sounds really fun. Sorry, I'm a graphics nerd.
Nice.
So gaming in general, what's the first game that got you really hooked?
That's a tough one. So I grew up in a household where gaming was not really considered a thing that you do. We were encouraged not to go that route. But as I grew up, got into college and things like that, I found I needed something to take my mind away from stress. It's what it came down to. I went into college with a very intense set of goals, and I accomplished them. But I needed something to create an entertainment value for myself to make each week worth continuing to go on through. I got into MMO games in particular with early browser MMOs, but the one that started to really push me in that direction was Lord of the Rings Online. Of course, once Star Wars: The Old Republic hit back in 2012, 20, I can't remember, but when
2012, I think.
when that landed, I was completely hooked by that game early on. I love Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, and getting to actually play a Jedi and interact with an entire world like that that was something important. It really spoke to me. And then, of course, once Final Fantasy XIV came around, that also kind of hooked me pretty hard.
Both really good games.
Agreed.
So yeah, and different aesthetics, but they're both really impactful.
Yeah, the storylines are what really draw you into those kind of games. This was true of all three of the games that I just mentioned, actually.
Yes.
Many people would argue, and rightly so, that the best part about SWTOR was the story, the original stories that they put out. So there's definitely a lot of similarities in that regard.
Yes. And for all your gaming experience, what's the most epic thing that you've ever done or done with a group? And would you do it again?
Okay. That's a really tough one because a lot of things have happened. I think it would have to go to when I first joined Grievance Final Fantasy XIV. I joined a raid team called the Weekend Warriors at the time, and they were pushing through the last section. Well, at the time the last section of the Coil of Bahamut, hadn't come out, which was the original raid in Final Fantasy XIV. I remember very, very clearly when we got our first kill on the 12th boss of that raid. The boss in itself was very cool to begin with, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody that ever actually wants to go back and view that story, because I do recommend it. The game has a very nice new Game Plus mode that allows you to go back and view that story, and I highly recommend it. But the cutscene that came after that win, it was a hard-fought win. It was a very difficult fight. We spent many hours, and when we finally got the clear, we had no idea there was a cutscene in it. And it was one of the biggest, most epic cutscenes that had happened in the game so far, and that's saying a lot, because that game had a lot of really epic cutscenes. And it explained so much about what had happened when Meteor hit Eorzea. And how the Warrior of Light had been transported basically forward in time. It was a moment that I don't think anybody in the group is ever going to forget. And if I could do it again, yeah, I'd do it again. But that's not something that's ever going to happen again, unfortunately. That's just the nature of the beast.
I think we all hit those big gaming moments that make you sit and all go. And most of it's in a raid, isn't it? With a big group of your friends.
It's always better with friends.
I gotta agree. Speaking of things we do with friends, I've got to ask you about Pathfinder. So, I know this is something else you love. Please tell us how you got into it, what you do, all the things.
I do. I love me some Pathfinder. So I am I'm a Pathfinder GM usually when I get a chance to play, which isn't all that often. I do enjoy playing the game, but most of the time I end up GMing. So Pathfinder 2nd Edition, which is what that book is back there, came out recently, and I've become something of a fanboy, as the saying goes. It's a world where you can basically create your fantasy as a player and as a GM, and everybody works together to tell a story in a manner that everybody gets a chance to really enjoy. All this book does, is give you a set of rules to solve questions of, can I do this thing? Well, let's look up some rules and roll some dice. You can do it, but do you? From there, it's really all about creating a character and playing that character in a role that maybe you'll never get a chance to in your real life. So it's an actor's dream, as it were.
So, as a player, what's your favorite class or role in Pathfinder to pick up?
As a player, I generally end up... I've played all sorts of them, but I generally end up playing the intelligence-based characters. It's just kind of my wheelhouse, as it were. I know back in the day, I got made fun of a lot because every other character I would make was a monk. So I would show up to a new game, and the first thing out of everybody's mouth when I go to introduce my character is, okay, so what kind of monk did you bring this time? But nowadays, I definitely tend to lean more towards your casters, your wizards, magus. Alchemist is a personal favorite of mine. So,
okay, why? I've not seen this class before.
So the alchemist in original Pathfinder was a kind of a pseudo caster, but their shtick was that they can make bombs and throw them, because who doesn't like making things explode? But for me, it was mostly about the chemistry. For those that aren't aware, I do have a degree in chemistry, and I've always found it fun and interesting to get a chance to play around with what chemistry could have been if it wasn't for all these pesky laws of physics and stuff.
You know, that does sound really, really fun. What do you like about
the sun? I'm sorry.
No,
it's
I
coming
know.
right through my window. Give me
Like
just
in
a
your
second,
eyeballs.
guys. Yeah, it's right there. Oh my god.
It's cool. You're good. So I know me and Wendell have not played Pathfinder, and it kind of spun off of D&D from my understanding of it, but I think it's a more intricate game. I'm waxing poetic briefly about the intricacies
Fantastic.
of Pathfinder.
It should be. You should. It's a wonderful game that anybody and everybody should get a chance to play.
So what do you like to do as far as campaigns?
Did I lose you, Lee?
Oh, did you?
What the?
No beans? Can't hear me? Can you hear me?
I don't know. I can hear him.
I can hear him too.
I don't know.
Hello?
Can you hear us, Mascurse?
I think I can now. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you great.
Yes.
Yeah, my USB switch decided to flip over to my work computer.
Oops.
That was fun.
Well, I was asking about you GMing in Pathfinder. What kind of campaign do you like to put together, and what's something fun you enjoy doing to your players? Because you inflict things on them.
So as a GM, I generally like to use the pre-published adventures that Paizo puts out called Adventure Paths. The writers there are fantastic. They make these beautiful worlds that I can then put my own little bit of a flair on, as it were. I generally like to run games that are a little bit more structured. There's a definite story being told, and I like to allow my players some level of freedom, but I make it clear up front that I am somewhat of a railroader. Not to the point where I take away player agency, but I do like to actually tell a defined story. As it comes to things to inflict upon my players, one of my favorite things, and this is going to sound super cheesy, but one of my favorite things is to give my players interesting magical items, rather than just the classic, oh, you found this +1 sword. I want them to have a spined shield, which the entire point of it is, rather than blocking things, you shoot spines off your shield at things far away. Or take the fighter who's been using a bastard sword the entire campaign and say, here's a glaive. It's a really good weapon. It shoots fireballs. What would you like to do? And watch what they do, because sometimes they'll choose to make it their weapon. Other times they'll choose to do something fancy with it, and that's always fun for me. I enjoy letting the players do interesting things with the equipment that I get.
That is really fun. I say this from experience with my husband, who GMs and is very similar in giving out items that do interesting things. So tell me about how you integrate your players into the story. Are they central in it? Are they making the story happen, or are they the story?
They are the story. And again, I think most of the credit for this actually goes to the Paizo writer, because that's what they wrote the story for. There's a whole lot of background information going on. There's a whole lot of story happening around the players. But from the player's perspective, the only way they find out about any of that is if they choose to go out and look for it. Like my players right now, the last 2 weeks, the last 2 sessions, they've spent doing downtime activities because they just got back from a portal trip to the Mwangi Expanse. They just got back. They've got a citadel that's been sitting there. So they've spent the last 2 weeks doing downtime and making their citadel into what amounts to a bed and breakfast.
Oh, nice!
If that's what they enjoy, that's what I enjoy, to some extent. But there is a limit at some point, and we've got there, as the entire group is like, okay, it's time to get back on the story track, as it were. And that's fine. Everybody works together as a team to create these kind of stories. And now the players have just found out about a mysterious organization that seems to want them to hunt down slaves for them. So this is going to be fun to see what they do next.
Yeah, this sounds really fun. All right. Because we're running a little lower on time, but I always like to ask other game masters this. What is the funniest thing that your players have done that you did not expect them to do?
Ooh, funniest.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot. Let me see.
Or most unexpected way they handled a problem that you threw at them. I can make it more broad.
So actually, this happened relatively recently. So the party in question had gotten their hands on a portal, a set of gates that take you from one location to another. And unbeknownst to them, inside the portal there is a draconic god of destruction that has been trapped in there for millennia. They opened it and traveled through it, meeting face to face with a manifestation of said god. And unbeknownst to them, this was actually in the form of a hazard and something that they could dispel magically. But there was no way they could have known that. It was a dragon god. What are they going to do? I expected that they would flee in terror or try to get past it in some manner, like I would have done. But no, the cleric of all people decided to incant and cast Dispel Magic on this trap. And it succeeded. And he gave me this wonderful scene where his holy symbol glows with a blue light and a spiraling light comes out of his symbol to strike the dragon directly in the chest. And I was super excited about that. I had a really good time.
That sounded really, really, really fun. Do you like when your players explain what they're doing? Like, I hold up my holy symbol and...
Very much so. The players get a chance to set the scene. I like to describe what the NPCs do. I like to describe what the PCs do, but I try not to because I want them to. I want them to tell me what their character is doing to interact with my world.
Sorry, good times running through my head. We had something similar in the end of one of our last campaigns where we took out literally the 5-headed dragon goddess of evil and sent her back to hell. That was, yeah, exactly. That's our girl. And yep, that was fun. My character got to hold a little chess piece up in a river of souls. That was, yep, good times.
Good memories to be able to do that sort of stuff.
It is. It is. All right, we got 3 minutes. Wendell, you want to do the raffle? And then I'll give Mascurse a final good question.
I will certainly do that. By the way, Mascurse, sign me up for a game. Just saying.
One of these
really.
I will. One of these days, I will host a D&D game or a Pathfinder game rather for Grievance. I did so way back when. It's been a while now, but I don't do great with one shots, so people are going to have to be patient with me while I actually learn how to do that.
That's okay.
We're here to learn. All right, so let's go ahead and do the raffle. So it is for the Crash Bandicoot Trilogy game key. And here is the press of the button.
Drum roll.
Bandit! Bandit has won!
Hey!
Yay!
Oh, congrats! We can hear you this time, Wendell. This is even better.
I made sure to purposely click back to Discord after I pressed the big button.
Thank you.
So congratulations, Bandit. All right, Liette, final question.
Okay, because you highlighted this one for me, thank you. What is one question you wish we had asked you?
I kind of... actually, no, I do know what I would say. The question that kind of comes to my mind when I see these interviews is, and this kind of comes back to the streaming community and what can the viewers actually do to help streamers to be more engaged. And we've talked about this many times, but honestly, the biggest thing that you as a viewer can do, if you're enjoying yourself watching the stream, just drop into the chat and say hi. Even if it's just saying hi, drop something in there, because it allows the streamer to actually engage with the audience and makes the stream more interesting for everybody involved, to be completely honest. So anything you can drop in the chat, even if it's just to say hi, I highly recommend it. And I do that whenever I'm hanging out in anybody's chat. It's always worth dropping that little bit of a love.
And please remind us what days and times you stream on both your channel and when we have you on Grievance.
You can catch me on twitch.tv/Mascurse at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays and Wednesdays for our raid nights, and from 9 a.m. to noon Eastern for Final Fantasy XI leveling static most weeks. And then random times whenever I happen to feel like it.
Those are good times too. thank you so much for being on here with us, Mascurse. It's been a pleasure, as always.
It's wonderful to see you guys, and I'll look forward to next time.
Yes. Oh, yay, there's a next time I can hit you up. Great. Awesome.
Oh, crap. What have I done?
You have volunteered.
I knew this day would come.
Bummer. But
All
thank you so much. We sure appreciate you. And Wendell, what's next up?
Again, thank you, Mascurse. Next up is we're going to jump into Minecraft. I don't know if I'm jumping into the server and we're going to run through it, or if Statler and Waldorf are going to give us another tour. So I guess we need to figure out that real quick. Am I hopping in?
You're going in with them, please. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So let me bring up my Java client, and somebody needs to send me the login information for that server. By the way, I don't know what it is.
Hey, Nionia, could you please message Wendell the server info for Minecraft? Please, ma'am. Thank you.
So I'll be back on here in a minute, and we'll see you soon. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
See you next time.
See ya.